Thank you for coming today. This is an exciting celebration. I want to start a little bit with the history of this award. Chris joined Audible as a summer intern in 2002, and he worked with us for about 10 years. Chris was a fabulous colleague, friend, employee. He was passionate about literature. He knew how to recommend books and audiobooks to people. He saw fiction, especially as a way to communicate about a disease and to share that part of life with people as they read. We at Audible and we as friends wanted to do something to honor him, to help a novelist or a writer get a book published. So we worked with the Center of Fiction. We got scores of manuscripts for the very first award. And as it turned out, all the judges all had one choice, and we were unanimous in our selection of Fog Island Mountains as the winner of the Christopher Doheny Prize. Michelle Bailat-Jones has published short fiction and other works in a variety. If you think about all the top literary journals and magazines, Michelle has been there. She is a translator professionally. She is also a poet. And now, I'm glad to say, she is a published novelist. We were looking for a partner to do the book in print and as an ebook and CDs, and Tantor graciously said that they were very interested, and they've done just a marvelous job with their 3 formats. The audio performance by Jennifer Akita is just fabulous. Michelle, why don't you give us just a quick overview of the book so that it sets some context for the clip that we're going to play.
Fog Island Mountains is set in southern Japan on the island of Kyushu, and it deals mainly with one couple, Alec and Kanai. When the book opens, Alec has just received a terminal cancer diagnosis. His wife is absent from that meeting, although she was supposed to be there, and this is what sets the book in motion, is that his wife has vanished. And she's done it on purpose. She is avoiding this appointment, and she is avoiding what happens. She has chosen a bad moment to escape because there's a big typhoon that's coming in to hit the island. So that is the beginning, and the clip that we're going to hear today, the narrator is focusing on Kanai in the clip that we're going to hear, and it's the very first evening of her escape. So we know where she is, but Alec doesn't.
But here she is, on a mountain road, Kanai Chester. We know exactly where to find her as Alec's appointment is about to start, because she is a woman who keeps her promises. She is a woman driving down a badly tarmacked road and ready to join her husband at the hospital. Her body still overheated from the thermal baths at Kurokawa, her ears still ringing with the laughter of her friends. These women who join her each Thursday for a soak in the volcanic waters, her face now tired out and sagging from the work of forming itself into a mask that would hide her worry from her old friends. She is pulling into the parking lot, and she sees that little girl mistreated by the gathering winds, and she wonders what this young girl's father could be thinking about that he doesn't notice his daughter's one-armed resistance. But Kanai doesn't see Alec at the window, and he does not see her. And it doesn't matter, because she is already turning her car around and driving back up the same slick gray road, back up to Kurokawa Onsen, and back into the hot water that numbs as it burns.
And that's where the book starts. Michelle, help us to understand the genesis of the novel. Was it based on your own experience with sickness or death?
It is based on a family situation in my in-laws' family. So based on that experience, I had a lot of questions about grief, and that is essentially what brought me to write the book.
Okay. And could you talk a little bit about the physical setting of the book? It's, the title is about the physical setting, Fog Island Mountains. It's in Japan. How does that influence a story, and why is it in Japan?
I think, so I'll answer your second question first.
Okay.
The reason that I wanted to set it in Japan is that this is a place that's very special to me. It's where I was born. and it was also actually a place that was very distant from the personal experience that I had been living. So it felt very comfortable to set those kind of difficult questions in a place that was very comforting to me. So that's your first question. And then I would say the setting influences the book in the sense that it's kind of a mysterious and mythological place in Japanese culture. So there's a long history of mythology in that region, and one of the other elements of the book is based on Japanese mythology.
And your story really is a story of leading up to the death. As you said last night, at the end of the novel, everybody is still alive. Mm. Why did you decide to focus the action in the book on the events leading up rather than with the death itself or the aftermath?
I think that for a lot of people in a long-term illness situation, especially maybe, for the person themselves, and in this case, Alec, and as well for the family, that sometimes that initial moment of learning about the illness can be such a shock. I mean, it becomes a kind of psychic break, and that is, I think, the moment that was the most interesting for me to look at how humans deal with that particular moment. And everyone is going to do that differently. And some privately, some publicly, in all sorts of different ways. So I think I was just very curious about that, how we do that, and I wanted to explore that in the story.
You work, as I said in my introduction, you work as a translator, you are a poet as well. How does that influence your novel writing or your fiction writing?
I'm very, very interested in language and how it works and how it influences people. And so the fact that Alec is a native English speaker and has been teaching English in Japan for a long time, that's an experience that is very close to me, actually, but also one that I think is ripe for making human connections with people when you're a foreigner and you have to integrate yourself into a culture. So that was part of the book that I didn't want to overlook. And then also I think just as a translator, I'm really interested in rhythms and meaning. And for me, in my writing, I want it to be beautiful and I want it to be meaningful at the same time. And so I work really hard to get those two things together.
You mentioned the narrator, which is so perfect for audio. But if you could talk about the role the narrator plays and why you decided to use a narrator in this book and how you think it lends itself to the audio format.
I think that she's sort of meant for audio because she comes from an oral storytelling tradition. One of the very first sections of the book, she goes to the library and tells stories to the kids. This is something she does every week. And she... in that particular, she always finishes her storytelling with a kitsune story, and the kids love this. So it's great fun to hear her as an audio, already as an audio narrator.
Right. And I have to say that Jennifer, as the narrator on this book, does a marvelous job, not only with the Japanese language and the Japanese accents, but the South African and the birds as well, everything. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So I think Chris would have been really proud of this book and the fact that his name is on it, along with your name, and in front of this wonderful story. So thank you for writing such a wonderful novel and making our choice so easy. It's not only a wonderful story to share, but the money that comes from the sale of the books and the audio will help to support the Christopher Doheny Award going forward and help other authors going forward. So that's the sales pitch. Please read it, enjoy it, and share it with other people. Thank you for coming today.